Hello and welcome back to Just for Today. I'm Jamal Nomi.
I am the recovering addict, Miranda.
Then today we're going to talk about step one, work on steps. Somebody doesn't have a script here today, so we're just going to jump right into it. So is this like some sort of secret society thing? Like, are you not allowed to talk about steps?
Well, I mean, it's like that, it's not promoted or, it's just like one of those, like, it works and you're not going to sit there and like hound people about it. It's, it's not paid for or anything. It's just like a self-supporting group, yeah. So,
But it's not like it's no step zero. First step is to not talk about anonymity or.
well, there's the anonymity of it, like you're not supposed to talk about other people or stuff like that. Yeah.
Instances about people.
Yeah.
So it's okay to talk about steps.
I mean, I think so.
I would.
Once in a while. But like, it's basically you're not going to be going to work and saying, hey, like.
So and so did.
Yeah. It's like, if you see somebody needing help and you extend, the offer and let it be, you're not going to go and make a billboard and say, hey, come to NA, look what we have. You're not going to like make commercials about it.
So it's okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
Alright, well, so what is the first step?
Well, like the first step, basically you're learning, you have a disease of addiction, There's like, the disease of addiction, that's what's causing you to have this habit and to not be able to stop or whatnot. It's not really the substance that you're using, the addiction again can be in part, shopping, sex, food, drugs, alcohol, that's like the, what do you call it? The core is a disease, you're acting out on it, is, the action, yeah. So basically the fact that you have to, before you start step one, you have to be abstinent, you have to like be clean off of whatever it is, that's like so much time, and then you start your first step. And you learn that it's actually a disease that you have. It's not, it's actually like an underlying issue. It's a disease that you have. Yeah, and then comes, once you start your steps, you're asking, you're going through questions to understand, oh, that's why I behave that way. That's why I'm compulsive. That's why I'm obsessive about certain things. You can be clean from the drug that you're using, and then it ends up going towards another department in your life. And that's why you work with the steps to help you overcome it and direct it and fix it. There's all these underlying issues that are causing you to act out. So that's how you know your addiction is active, is because you have to stop and think, well, where am I acting out in my addiction, in my disease? So right now, there's not acting out. Yeah. But that's where you learn to, like, instead of like responding and, if you are coming across a situation, like, are you responding off of your emotions, or you stop, think about it, and then, processing it, and then, make a choice. We're very compulsive people, we just act on our emotions. So, just learning the fact that it's a disease as part of step one. And then there comes denial. When you start your program, sometimes people are forced into the program by the court system or certain circumstances in their life where they're forced to get recovery. So you deny it. You don't want to admit. You're like, I'm not addicted to that. I can stop. You blame others for your disease. You blame, that's not my fault. That's because this happened. Or that's because so and so did whatever. So there's that denial. And then also, like, hitting rock bottom. I hit rock bottom You know, some people don't hit that rock bottom, and you know, they start the process of getting recovery, and but they're not fully, you know, they're still in that denial. They're not fully working the program or like working their stops, and then you know that's where you know you risk relapsing.
Some people hit rock bottom multiple times.
Yeah.
You know, it's that you just don't, that need or that the feeling that they're getting out of it is more important than you know, is stronger than I guess you could say that getting over it.
Where you're just, you haven't surrendered.
Yeah.
You haven't surrendered to the fact of, okay, I do have a problem. You know, I can't control this. You know, that comes the next part is, you know, powerlessness. I didn't understand what powerlessness and I didn't know what that meant. You know, like I really struggled on that in the beginning, going to my meetings and I go, what do you mean powerless? Like, what does that mean? And that's where I had to understand, like, I cannot control my using, you know. There's times, like so many times in my active addiction, I'm using and I'm like, okay, this is the last hit. Okay, this is the last bag. Okay, I'm gonna throw it away. Kid you not, I'm like outside in the garbage can, like, you know, digging in trash to get it again. Because you just can't control that something that's inside. That something is the disease, you know. And then your life becomes unmanageable. You know, unmanageable. I didn't struggle with that, but because I was like, what do you call it? Like a functioning, you know, tweaker or whatnot. On the outside, you know, my life didn't seem unmanageable. But, you know, just in general, like unmanageability, not being able to have a job, not being able to, you know, take care of yourself or your children or, you know, things like that. Just stealing or not being able to function without having, you know, your drug. You know, so your life just becomes unmanageable. And also I had to learn what reservations are. Reservations. So you being reservations, you know, you call and you want to reserve that hotel. And so that's kind of what it is. Reservation is like, you know, you're working your steps, you're going to your meetings, you're not using, but if you're not truly letting go and like accepting the fact that, wait a minute, I do have a problem here, like I need to figure this out. You're making reservations like, okay, well if I can just, you know, if I'm clean for like, you know, 90 days, then I'm good. And then, you know, then I can use again because I'm able to stop. If I'm able to stop for 90 days, then I don't have a problem. You know, or just like, you don't delete your dealer's number. Right? Well, you know, the fact that you're questioning or hesitating to delete those numbers, you're putting a reservation and you're risking yourself from relapsing, you know. You just might have that off moment, going through an emotion or going through something, and you know what, or you're mad. I know that's what I do. When I get mad, and I want to have revenge, or I do damage. I damage myself. And so I can easily see myself doing that. Or I get mad and just, I'm gonna go call and, you know, pick up. So, you know, you have these reservations. You have to get rid of those reservations. You have to like dig deep and make sure, you know, you're truly working your staff. And then that's where like spiritual principles come from. You learn spiritual principles, and like the first main one, you know, just being honest. You know, honesty. And that's what we have a lot of issues with, is being honest. We lie so much, like we lie to lie, you know, just to cover up our lies. Like lying was like second nature to me. But I think I learned that pretty quick to not lie, just to be honest. Like, look, this is what's going on. And so he went through a lot with me because he had to deal with, you know, all my issues that I'm opening up about, and just being honest that like, hey, I'm having this feeling right now. Like, if you're not honest, then you're continuing to hide and suppress the issues that you have going on, which then leads to, you know, relapse, to you losing again. So honesty is like a big thing.
Or at very least, it ends up hurting yourself or somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It might not even be that big, but yeah, eventually that would get back to relapsing.
Yeah, and it's hard to discuss this stuff with normal people. They don't fully understand, and they don't get it, and that's why, you know, going to like my meetings, it is anonymous, right? So, but no matter what, like, you can always relate. You know these people in those rooms can relate to what you're saying. And sometimes, like, I may not be able to say it to my family members and express it, or even if I do, it's not quenching that need, I guess you could say. But when you go to a meeting and you just let it out and you talk about whatever it is, people get real. People, like, let out the real stuff that, like real stuff that they don't want to talk about, But just being able to talk about it, it just gives you that release. And then speaking to another addict about it, it's like, what they've been through. Like, the feelings that they've had, and it's just, it's just a different connection to speak about.
It's not a cult or nothing. It's a bunch of people that are going through the same sort of thing or have been through. And on the flip side, my side, it helped me to understand what she's really going through. It's easy to sit up here and say, well, you're dumb for doing that over and over, or you're dumb for getting yourself in that situation, you're dumb for not stopping that from happening. But it was mind blowing going to that
you
person.
Were coming from, like, more than one other person.
Yeah,
they're saying, like, the exact same thing.
Yeah, and to see, like, people that are seemingly normal, you would never think. Like, I had this vision in my head of what a drug addict looked like, felt like, acted like, and you see that anybody can be going through at just a level of pain and hurt and even, all the feelings and disgust within themselves, like wanting to stop something so bad but not being able to do it. It's just,
that's like a real, that's a real thing. It's a struggle.
It's crazy.
That's the powerlessness, where you want to, you crave, like, you have the desire to stop using, but you physically and mentally you can't, and it's real. And sometimes going to meetings, there's things that I can't put into words. It's just things that are going on inside, and when you hear somebody speak, you're like, yes, that's it. Like, that's, you can relate to it. Yeah.
And even as a normie, go in there and relating with these people, with some of the things that with some of the things that are said, it's, if you can't relate with this, and you're like the perfect person, like, it's on some level, there's a connection. I can't explain. You have to go and see for yourself. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then working your first step, like, you don't do it alone. Basically, you have to be clean. Just at least, making that commitment to actually, like, work in your program. And then, tell you, okay, go to 90 meetings in 90 days, find a sponsor, and work your steps. And so basically, you find a sponsor. Sponsor is someone who's been clean, for at least, a year or two, at least more clean time than you, and they've had some experience under their belt, and they've been through the steps. So basically, they'll guide you on, like, when you're early in your recovery and you're still, like, having withdrawals and, like, going through the emotions, like, that's the person you call. Pick up the phone, call them right away, and let them know what's going on, and you just, like, help them through it. The Buggy System, and so they guide you and tell you how to work. Everybody's different. They tell you how to work the step, one step at a time. And it's like, I'm over here thinking, like, okay, yeah, like, one step, it's deep. It's not just like, oh, there's not just like 10 questions, It's like the first step has like 68 something questions, and it's not just like simple questions, and you gotta sit there and, like, think about it. And I get in my head a lot, so I struggled with my first step. I hesitated a lot to do my first step. It's like, and every time I answered, I would work one question at a time. It's like every time I would answer a question, I would have dreams. I would, but it was, that's, I think, how I work, like, through my dreams and stuff. It's like, it's releasing certain things, and going through certain stuff. So yeah, you do your stuff, and then you do it with your sponsor, and that's how when you realize more things that you don't think about, So.
Yeah. The key, though, is to not give up on it, right? You gotta persevere and keep going through it.
And that's, because we're stubborn people. A lot of people come in there whether forced or just tired of it, and and some people like relapse is part of their story. Like they had to relapse in order to they go back out in the streets and whatever happens, and then they come. But they always, it's just like church, like once you have a taste of it, like where to go back to, like where the answers are, like how you're going to be able to clean. And then just because you're hearing other people's stories, there's people that have been clean for like decades, like 30 plus years, and they just keep coming back because when you have clean time, basically you give it to the newcomers, So, and that's how we understand this is a real thing and it does work,
Just like you were saying with church, with me, I was born Christian, went to church, got out of church, went back to church a little bit, got out of church, in our church we kind of talk about how when you're a Christian, what does it say when we were the first time I was a Christian, and the second time I was Christian, something like that. But you go to how you're doing church, and then you're good, and then you decide slowly you start to try to do things your way, and then you end up back out there, something stupid happens, and you end up going back to church, and then so in sense, it's like hitting rock bottom multiple, hitting my rock bottom multiple times. Except for me, my rock bottom was your rock bottom.
Yeah.
So that was the only way that I was going to go back, getting to church, because I care more about, care more about you than I do myself. I care more about a lot of people than I do myself, even though I hate people. It's weird weird sort of thing I have. But yeah, so again, another level in which I can connect, with what you're going through, what you guys go through.
It's like when you get that feeling of you going into the world, and removing yourself from church slowly, like that's the devil coming in and getting in your head or whatnot, and that's what they say in the NA program is like the days that you feel like you don't need a meeting, and you need to run. You need to run and get to a meeting, so that's it. And it is true. Once you go to church, once you go in the meeting, you feel so much better. You're like, oh, I'm glad I did that,
And that feeling of not wanting to go is that the devil kind of easing you over. You take 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Over time, next thing you know, you're 15 steps. So it becomes easier and easier by little. And in a way, I mean, this is kind of like I don't know if did you research this at all? Did this start in church? Like the whole process. Yeah.
No, but I know there's like drama and politics between like NA and AA and one's religious, because it feels just like church, but because that throws people off, so like they have to
that fear of church, religion, church.
I think from what I heard, like AA is more church-like, and that's why people don't want to go. But they only focus on just alcohol. NA is like, it doesn't matter what it is. NA is just talking about the disease, whatever it is, whatever you're addicted to.
And also, it seems like 12 steps is like the 12 commandments. Is it 10 commandments? Is it 12? The 10 commandments, same sort of thing. It's just.
But it's very, very, similar. And I like how they do it, because I don't want to say they sneak it in, but, they're doing it side by side. It's like, God. Call your higher power,
But it's weird. I mean, I know people have their feelings, and you probably have your feelings about what God is, but it's God. You just don't know it, and you don't know Him in the way that you should know Him to know that it's Him.
I think they teach you, and that's like in the third step, finding your higher power. It's because in the disease of addiction, we're just so self-centered. The world revolves around us, and it's like, nope, I'm in control. If I don't want to do it, it's not going to happen. Like, it's hard for us to give up our will, and that's what we're doing. So that's like a baby step is to where you have to find higher power. And there's a story out there, like, okay, it could be a potato. They don't care what it is. They're just slowly trying to have you learn that, like, you have to let go of your will, get it to your higher power, and, a lot of people, it's, I don't want to say politics, but it is, some people are,
I think that's part of the reason why they don't want it to be out there as much, because politics, because of politics, and also it's personal. A lot of things that people say, it's personal too. So hopefully we don't get in trouble.
Well, we're just doing it to spread the information.
Yeah,
it helps me. And I had never ever heard of it. And even when I go to my rooms or my meetings and stuff, I'm like waiting to see somebody that I know, like on the streets. And even though I was like undercover or whatever, like I still know people. I still, So I'm always like waiting for that day where I'm gonna come across somebody that I know, in the rooms. And I haven't. It's like a lot. It's worldwide. Like this program is like worldwide. And that's another thing I want to talk about. With this whole pandemic, when everything got shut down, they switched it over to Zoom. And there's people who've actually like started their recovery in Zoom. That's amazing, because like when you go to the meetings, you get it's a different feeling and dynamic. When it's energy, yeah. But it's more convenient. It actually is changing, the dynamic a lot. People who are in programs, like in facilities, they're able to attend a meeting. People who are, I can go to a meeting in London right now. There's my regular meeting that I go to. There's regularly a couple guys from London. They're like, hey, I like this Vegas group. You can go anywhere in the world. If you're traveling, and I've heard stories, people traveling, like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, 'cause we become, I don't want to say dependent, but like the meetings are very important to our recovery. They bring sanity to us. We're having a bad day, just going to that meeting, releasing it, is all we need. So if you're traveling in another country, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You look it up, you can find a meeting, so like that's pretty cool. Even I heard somebody going on like a cruise. They had, got a little group together and they had a meeting on a cruise trip,
It's like a meal, you gotta constantly eat to stay, to keep up your energy, to keep healthy. You have to constantly do that. So.
And you're constantly learning them too. Every time you always grow.
Yeah, it's just like with church, we have to go to because no matter what, it's a different feeling when you're in something than when you're watching something on a little screen. You can do it every once in a while, whatever, or even if that's all you can do, at least that's something, and you'll get something out of it, whether it's being in church, whatever. You have to get your little meal. All right, well, that's all the time we have for just for today. Leave us a comment below. If you want to start a conversation about where you are in things, where you need to go, have you heard of NA, or are you looking for a way to recover from whatever it is? It doesn't have to be drugs or anything else. This could be the first start of a really long, good conversation. But like, share, subscribe, do all the things, and most importantly, remember to keep them back.
Stay clean.
Bye. Ready? That's right. Because I need Jesus. Oh, my phone? Yes, I do. Maybe. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Oh, that.
Addict, Miranda.
And is that right? You said Miranda.
Honesty comes from. You can see that last.
You have to get your little meal.
Stay clean.
Bye.
who's like, you gotta hurry, I gotta see